This is a continuation of our look at CAIR's TV appearances in December 2020. As you recall, last time we saw CAIR trying to get someone fired.
This person has no place and should have no role in choosing textbooks for the state of Tennessee.
Attaching themselves to a story about Nazis.
I would like to see Governor Beshear address this issue with an investigation.
Telling us that white people are our greatest threat.
White supremacist groups today still pose the greatest threat to our freedom and our safety.
Trying to become part of the Minneapolis police oversight process.
Council on American Islamic Relations Minnesota Director Jaylani Hussein said he wants clearer policies that will prevent use of violence by the MPD and more community engagement for decisions on public safety.
And urging for the removal of a Civil War monument.
A motion is on the agenda for Monday's Board of Supervisors meeting to discuss moving the more than a century-old statue. Leading up to the potential vote, the Council on American Islamic Relations announced support for removal of the monument.
We pick up the pace with CAIR finally finding a story that has something to do with Muslims. But CAIR being what they are, there's something wrong.
A group of female Muslim prisoners at the center of a lawsuit over hijabs.
A civil rights group said the women's religious freedoms were violated because they had to remove their head coverings for their mugshots.
The stripping of the head covering from a Muslim woman is equivalent to making a non-Muslim woman walk around with topless or shirtless in front of men and then publishing that photo to a website.
No, this is not true. The vast majority of women in America who wear the hijab do it because they want to. Wearing the hijab is a personal choice, and CAIR knows this. Because in Illinois, CAIR is suing the state to allow women to remove the hijab.
And a Muslim civil rights group says that an Illinois driver's license rule violates religious rights. The Chicago chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations filed a federal lawsuit challenging that rule. Now, the rule requires anyone wearing a religious head covering while taking a driver's license photo to sign a form saying that they may lose their license if they're later seen in public not wearing that head covering.
CAIR knows what they are saying is hogwash. They're just testing the limits of their influence. By December 16th, CAIR is irrelevant again, somehow getting involved with teachers protesting standardized testing during the pandemic.
Well, groups of teachers across the nation staged a sick-out today protesting standardized tests during the pandemic. Rallies were organized in cities, including here in Minnesota, with a message from teachers who feel the in-person tests simply aren't safe for teachers or for students. The Minnesota chapter of the Council on American Islamic Relations and Teachers for Good Trouble hosted a rally today in St. Paul.
2 decades behind bars, Mayan Burrell is a free man this morning.
There is no record on the internet or CAIR's website or among the last 3 years of TV appearances of CAIR's involvement with Mayan Burrell. But here they are, promising a revolution.
We are in a moment of a revolution, and we are not stopping with Mayan. We are beginning with Mayan.
At the same time CAIR was desperately trying to stay relevant, here is what else was going on in the world.
The feds say it echoes the September 11th terror attacks, and the suspect appeared in a New York courtroom this afternoon. Chief investigative reporter Jonathan Dienst in our newsroom now. John, you have that new information for us.
Yeah, Natalie, the suspected terrorist went to flight school. The FBI says he also practiced breaching a cockpit door, all part of an alleged plan to try to hijack a commercial airliner and fly it into a skyscraper. The 2019 arrest in the Philippines of suspected terrorist Kolo Abdi Abdullah made news there. But details of his alleged plot were not known until today, when he was charged in New York. Investigators say he was scouting office towers. They believe New York's One World Trade was one of them. The FBI says this 30-year-old Kenyan traveled to the Philippines to learn how to fly a jetliner. He also allegedly studied airport security and how to breach a cockpit once in flight, all in an alleged attempt to try to repeat the kind of attack seen on 9/11. U.S. Attorney Audrey Strauss says the case is a stark reminder that terrorist groups remain committed to killing U.S. citizens and attacking the U.S. The FBI says he was sent on orders of an al-Shabaab leader. That's an al-Qaeda-linked group in East Africa, the same group behind attacks like the 2019 hotel bombing in Kenya, after the U.S. announced it would move its embassy in Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Prosecutors say Abdullah's arrest came after at least 2 years of plotting. At a federal court hearing in Manhattan, he pleaded not guilty to all 6 terror counts. But the New York FBI director says he wanted to cause a mass casualty incident within our borders. Abdullah was extradited from the Philippines yesterday. A judge ordered him held without bail today on the terror charges that carry up to life in prison. Jonathan Dienst, News 4.
CAIR will continue to restart the civil war, warn us about white people, get people fired, interfere in police business, and manage restaurants.
The Council on American Islamic Relations says Pizza Hut should do more.
The TSA.
A disturbing display uncovered at Miami International Airport. This noose was found hanging from the ceiling with 2 monkeys attached to it.
The Council on American Islamic Relations weighing in too, saying TSA security officers should adhere to the highest standards at our ports of entry.
Public schools.
I suffered the consequences of one day, one boy, one finger in 2nd grade.
Just anything they can think of to avoid stories about jihad attacks. And one would think that confronting violent Muslims would at least be a part of the job of the Council on American Islamic Relations.